So today I want to talk about some of the best and worst books I have read this year so far. So let's do the mid-year freakout tag. The first question is, the best book you've read so far. This was surprisingly easy. In previous years, it's kind of been stuck between one or two, but this year there has been one really big standout, and I've read some amazing books this year, but there's been one big standout that just blew my mind. Not even because it's crazy and bizarre and really completely different, it just is such a fun, good time. And that is A Drop of Corruption, the sequel to The Tainted Cup. Now this book, oh boy, did I have a good time. I loved The Tainted Cup last year, and A Drop of Corruption, I would argue, is even better. I think the pacing was solid in The Tainted Cup. I think somehow it's even tighter in this book. I don't even know how to talk about this book because it's so difficult to put my finger on why I enjoyed it so much, but it's just so incredibly addictive. Every time I picked it up, usually I read for maybe an hour and a half, and then I put my book down. Rarely do I find a book that when I start reading it, I just don't want to put it down. So I got the audiobook, and I pretty much listened to it every waking moment where I didn't have to do something else, as well as reading it. And it's so good. The mystery is really, really fun. The character work is really fun. The expansion on the world and the world building, fascinating. And I just need the next one now. Like I said with Tainted Cup, I could do with there just being like 20 books in this series, just so I could binge them all. Because, oh man, they're just so incredibly addictive. Love Tainted Cup, and A Drop of Corruption is somehow a step up, which I didn't think was possible because of how good Tainted Cup was, but there you go. The second question is, what is the best sequel you read so far this year? Now, of course, Drop of Corruption is a sequel, so I would probably have gone to this, but just to stop myself from being overly repetitive, I'm going to pick probably Howling Dark. Now, Howling Dark is fantastic, steps up everything from Empire of Silence, and this is the second book in the Sun Eater saga, and I am loving the Sun Eater saga. It is so good. I've not read another series like it. I love this sort of space opera tone of the book, and this again just stepped up everything from the first book. I think the pacing was better. There was a lull, however the ending was incredible. What I will say is I'm currently reading Demon in White, and I've not finished it yet, so I didn't want to use it for this prompt, but it might be better than Howling Dark. I do think the pacing is a lot better in Demon in White. It's just, there's a lot less lulls, and even the quieter moments in this book are just more interesting for me. But that being said, the ending to Howling Dark is, oh boy. So it does depend on how Demon in White ends, but Howling Dark was still an incredible book, and I absolutely loved it. Next up, what are some new releases that are on your TBR? Now, there have been a ton of books coming out this year that I've been really intrigued by. I love doing the new release videos every month because it does just kind of keep me on top of kind of what's coming out and what people are currently reading. And oh boy, has there been a lot of standouts. I did write some down. 7 Recipes for Revolution was one that I knew about, but it wasn't until I read the synopsis, and the fact that the cooking is so much tied to the world building, but also just the plot overall, because it does sound like there's almost like a cuisine political sphere on top of the magic system, which is made on making dishes of food and how they create different magical abilities, and how the main character makes this completely brand new dish that turns them into a kaiju-sized monster. It just sounds insane and incredibly unique. So that's one I want to check out. Another is Wriggly Little Hands. I do have it somewhere, but it's in the other room, but I'll put up a graphic. This almost sounds like a humorous, cozy fantasy following the goblins who are trying to do evil and help the Dark Lord, but they just end up doing good and messing up along the way. It just sounds like it would be a ton of fun, so I cannot wait to read this one. And one that came out right at the start of the year is Ambessa. Now, I love Arcane, the TV show. It was fantastic. Both seasons, loved it so much. I really want to rewatch it now just talking about it. I loved it that much. It's so good. And this book follows the character of Ambessa, who is this badass kind of warlord type character, and she's just really brutal, and I'd love to know more about her past, and that's exactly what this novel is, so need to read it. And I'll just pick one more, and that is The Raven Scholar. Now, this book sounded good. I read the synopsis, I was like, that sounds really intriguing. On the big TBR mountain of books to read. However, I keep on hearing about how good it is. The reviews have been fantastic. So really it's been the reception that's kind of shot this up my TBR, because it's been really, really positively received. And I was intrigued before, but because it's been getting such good reviews, I'm even more intrigued. So I do want to read that as well. What are some anticipated releases you're excited for to release before the end of the year? Now, just like the first half, the second half looks really, really good. The real big standouts for me are Empire of the Dawn by J. Kristoff. Loved the Empire of the Vampire so much. One of my favorite books of all time. I love his writing style. I love the world building. Just J. Kristoff's style just seems to work for me very, very well. So I'm sure that'll be awesome. And that's the ending of the trilogy. So you know it's going to be heart-wrenching and brutal in all the best ways. Next, we have the Blackfire Blade, the sequel to the Silver Blood Promise. Now, I love the Silver Blood Promise. It was just a fantastic, fun time, but there's several elements to this story I'm just really excited to learn more about. In particular, this sort of lost civilization, these magical artifacts. So intrigued to learn more about that, so I'm really hoping that that's going to be more in book 2. And I just want more of the dynamic between Lucan and Flea. I just loved their banter throughout the entire first book, so very much looking forward to that. Thirdly, we have Tailored Realities by Brandon Sanderson. Now, he's one of my favorite authors of all time. I love the Cosmere, and whenever he releases a book, I'm excited for it and I want to read it. The unusual thing about this book is it's non-Cosmere related, so it's not tied to Stormlight or Mistborn or anything, and it is a short story collection. And I believe there are some more sci-fi related stories in there as well, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited about it, because I love Sanderson's work, but I do like to see this sort of different style from him as well. I loved it was only an audiobook, but I think they're doing a print version of the original, which he wrote with Mary Robinette Cole. And that was a really fun time. So if that's anything to go by, I'm really hoping that Tailored Realities will have similarly really fun sci-fi and also fantasy stories, I'm sure. Next on up, we have Death to the Dread Goddess by Morgan Stang. Now, Morgan Stang is the author of Murder at Spindle Manor, and I love that book. It was awesome. Really looking forward to continuing that series. But him doing a fantasy book, and I know something about this fantasy book that I'm not going to spoil, but I do know something about it that has made it even more intriguing. However, I'm not sure if people would consider it a spoiler, so I'm not going to mention it here, but what I will say is this book just sounds really, really good. What was your biggest disappointment so far? I've been really lucky this year. I don't think I've been really overly disappointed by any book. Perhaps A Court of Thorn and Roses, the romantasy book. It was my first ever romantasy book, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to try this massive subgenre and just kind of check it out. I did do an entire video on it, and while I didn't hate it, I'm a bit disappointed because I know how popular and big this subgenre is, and just I wasn't blown away by it. I didn't love it, and I know so many people love this book in this series, so I may check out more in romantasy just to kind of get a broader feel, because I can't write off an entire subgenre based on one book. That'd be very close-minded. However, I wasn't blown away by this. What was your biggest surprise of 2025? This has to go to Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, this was such a surprise because I thought I would enjoy it. It sounded really, really cool, but I didn't expect to be completely blown away by it. And I really was. I was really surprised about how well done kind of every element of the story is, and it's not that long. But the plot was incredible. The world building and sort of the sci-fi elements with this world that they crash land on, fascinating. The character work, so well done. The writing was great. The pacing was great. I do have one gripe about something towards the 70% mark that ended quite easily, but it's such a minor gripe for such an incredible book. I thought I was going to like it. I didn't expect to be completely blown away by it. And yeah, it just skyrocketed Adrian Tchaikovsky as an auto-buy author for me. Well, maybe an auto-buy author. The guy releases a book like every month. I think becoming an auto-buy author might bankrupt me. But I do want to check out more of his work, especially because I don't hear enough people talking about Shroud. So if this is just like a normal book for him and they're all this good, read Shroud. What is a favorite new author? I kind of have two. Adrian Tchaikovsky, which I just mentioned with Shroud, blew me away just how well done everything is across the board. It really just shows his proficiency at writing. just the fact that he nailed every single element so well. So definitely a favorite new author, but also Christopher Rocchio. Like I said, this series I've just been absolutely loving. It's really impressive how quickly this feels like a huge epic adventure spanning hundreds of years and, thousands of light years and such a massive distance and such a massive world. The scope, it feels grand and epic and somehow still grounded within Hadrian Marlowe, the main character, and just his progression as a character. I am absolutely loving the Sun Eater saga, so yeah, huge fan of Christopher Rocchio's work. Favorite crush? I don't really get crushes on characters, and I think I said this character last year, so this is perhaps a pattern, but I'm going to pick Anna Delabra from A Drop of Corruption. I think I picked her last year for The Tainted Cup because she's unhinged and I really like her. So take from that what you will. A book that made you cry. Now, I didn't cry, but this was probably the most emotional book I have read this year so far, and that was not a very good throw. Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Huang. Oh boy, does this book go places. And they're not particularly happy places. This book has some really interesting themes explored, but what really hit me in the feels was Siona and her character arc in this book, and just some of the lows, especially towards the middle of the book that she goes to. It really, really hit hard. I would definitely check content warnings if that's something that could bother you. It's definitely something to check because this has some very, very heavy scenes. But that's what I loved about it, and that's why I almost rated this 5 stars. This could have been my favorite read of the year. There was just a couple chapters where some of the themes just felt really rather heavy-handed, which is a shame. But I still loved the book. That does not take away from the fact that this book was really, really good. It's just, again, a minor gripe I have, but oh boy, still well worth the read. Still a 4.5 star read. I don't really like star ratings, but that's what I would give it. Highly, highly recommend. So in the feels. A book that made you happy. I've got to go with The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Do have a nice edition of it too, because I loved it that much. It was just a fun read. I really like the banter among the main cast, and the humor elements in it are just so Joe Abercrombie, but perhaps even more funny than his other work as well. Perhaps the book could have been a little bit shorter. That would be my one complaint, but I just still had a really good time every time I picked this up. Every time I picked up and I was reading, and you had the banter between the main cast and the jokes, but also the really emotional moments too between the characters were just really wholesome. So this definitely made me happy. What is the most beautiful book you bought this year? Now this year there's been a ton of really, really nice books. For example, that copy of The Devils, just absolutely stunning. Also, I've already shown this, the copy of Blood Over Bright Haven, absolutely beautiful. I also have to mention Magician by Raymond E. Feist, the Broken Binding edition. This book is just absolutely stunning. The art by Jeff Brown is beautiful, but equally the naked hardback art by Martin Motet. This, I might be pronouncing that last name wrong, I apologize. But look at that. It's got a beautiful dragon. So damn good. Oh, one more before I show you my absolute favorite, because I do have to show this one as well. The Elements of Time Special Edition. I mean, the art for this was already beautiful. It's another Jeff Brown piece, but the sprayed edges, having this book in hardback with the art on it, beautiful. And I really just like the quality of this book that Sam put together for his Kickstarter. And it does have some colored interior art as well that's just beautiful. Sam really absolutely killed it with this Kickstarter edition of his book. It's just beautiful. But my absolute favorite, most beautiful book that I bought this year is Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon by Matt Dinneman. How insane does this look? I absolutely love it. I love this artwork. Just makes me think of kind of like a pulpy sci-fi horror movie that came out in the 80s. Especially with that font type. However, it does have the original artwork as a sprayed edge, but also on the naked hardback, which is just really, really cool. Even the original artwork is beautiful. Even the spine looks cool. they just killed it with this one. What was your favorite adaptation? Now, I didn't watch a ton of adaptations this year, but I don't really think there was many new ones come out this year. I may be wrong, I might be forgetting one, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. At least not one I watched. However, I did watch the second season of The Last of Us, and that seemed to get some hate online, but I really enjoyed it. I thought season 2 was fantastic. Season 1 was great too, and I really enjoyed season 2. This probably doesn't count because it is a rewatch, and I watched it the year it came out, and I've watched it, I think, 2 or 3 times already, so this has been a rewatch again. But Cyberpunk Edgerunners, such a good show, such an underrated show. So if you've not watched it, I highly recommend checking it out. And funnily enough, it just got announced for a season 2, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I did not think there would be a season 2. I thought season 1 was going to be it. So I'm very intrigued about the path that they go down with season 2. Keeping the spoiler free for people who haven't seen season 1, and please keep it spoiler free in the comments, but watch it. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is so good, and I'm so amped about the second season. Oh boy. Oh, the Murderbot TV show did come out. I did watch the first episode. It's alright. What do you have to read before the end of the year? Spoiler for the next wrap up, but I have not read much at all recently, which is not been good. But what I do really want to read is Into the Rift by Clay Harmon. Flames of Mira is one of my favorite books, so I'm very much looking forward to it. I am keeping it for when I go on holiday because 1, it is a paperback. 2, I know I'm going to have a good time with it. So I'm going to be reading this very soon. Also, of course, continuing on with the read along over on the Discord of the Sun Eater saga. And we have so far read the first 3 books. We are currently reading Kingdoms of Death. So I need to read Kingdoms of Death, Ashes of Man, and Disquiet Gods before the end of the year. I don't think we'll get to the new one, Shadows Upon Time, because that is releasing in November. So almost completely caught up with the Sun Eater saga before the end of the year. I also really want to read Empire of the Damned and also Empire of the Dawn. I really want to finish this trilogy because I loved Emperor the Vampire that much that I feel like I'm just going to love these books. The only thing that's kind of stopped me from reading them so far is how long they are. So I need to make the time and sit down and read these books, which is difficult, but oh man, I just know it's going to be worth it. Also, as well as the Sun Eater saga, which we are reading bi-monthly, in the months in between, Patreons are voting on what we are reading on those off months between the Sun Eater books. So we will have a read for August, October, December. So that's 3 books that I have no idea what they're going to be. They'll be picked and voted on by patrons. So very much looking forward to seeing what those will be. They have been great picks so far, including one of them was Drop of Corruption, which I think was June's pick. So far they've picked some really good books. So let me know in the comments below what has been your favorite read of 2025 so far. And if you want to see the ultimate beginner's guide to reading fantasy books, check out this video here. Thank you very much for watching. Outro.